What's going on, guys? Welcome to Beyond Politics, episode 15. This is a conversation where we go in depth and bring our perspective to a relevant political topic of the day. I'm your host, Jared, and with me, as always, is Seth. And today we're going to be talking about Trump's immigration proposal, the RAISE Act. Well, not Trump's proposal, but one that he heavily endorsed. Senator from Arizona, Tom Cotton, introduced this bill. It's a mouthful. Here it is. It is the Reforming America's Immigration for Strong Employment Act, also known as RAISE, because everything is an acronym these days.
Dude, that's a fun job, man. It's like, all right, we need a good name.
What is the next big acronym? Put it out
RAISE.
there. Yeah. This got a good bit of heat.
Of course it did.
Yeah, exactly. But so basically kind of we'll go a little bit in depth, but the main thing that the bill is doing, one is it limits the amount of immigrants who are let in legally the first year by 39% and over a decade by nearly 50%. And then also it switches it from kind of more of a lottery pool essentially to kind of a more merit-based system.
Right.
So it kind of selects people based on their education, whether they can speak English, whether they have higher job opportunities, what skills they kind of bring in.
Is it really English is one of them?
English is one of them. Get points for it. But yeah, so to kind of break it down, the bill starts off by saying, quote, "Our system does not prioritize the most highly skilled immigrants. Just 1 out of every 15 immigrants to the United States comes here because of their skills." So it's basically talking about how it needs to emphasize more skills. What it does is it ends the diversity visa program, which grants 50,000 legal status to immigrants coming in, an additional 50,000 on top of just the normal allotted amount who are allowed in. And what that is basically a random lottery pool. It takes all of the countries who the U.S. doesn't take that many immigrants from, and it just kind of, you can apply for it and it's randomly chosen whether you come in or not.
I can't believe that was our old system.
I know. It's kind of like, it'd be like a prestigious university, because, you know, the U.S. prestigious country, right? But like, it'd be like a university just allowing whoever in, right?
Yeah.
Seems a little interesting to me.
Okay, we're gonna keep going through it.
Yeah, a little bit more. What it does is it limits under the system that it is now. Basically, you could bring in your fiance, you could bring in siblings, you could bring in your children, even if they were over 18. You could bring in your brother, you could bring in your father. What it would bring it down to is strictly only siblings and only children under 18. Okay. So you can't bring in your kids if they're over 18. And then, like we kind of mentioned, what it does is it decreased the overall amount of people who are coming in, 39% the first year, almost 50% at the end of a decade. And basically what this bill kind of gets at, what it's trying to attack, is that over 50% of immigrants who come into the country now are on some kind of public assistance or welfare program, whereas you compare that to the general population of the United States is 30%. And what the bill is doing is trying to kind of put it to a merit-based system, to where you're bringing in people who help the U.S. economy, not hinder it.
Right. Because if they're on the welfare, I mean, the idea would be that they're taking from the system and maybe not giving in as much to it, because most of them aren't even using whatever skills. Like, they're not coming in because of a skill. They're coming in just to come in.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, more people apply to become citizens of the United States than any other country in the world. So
we hate immigrants.
Exactly. Yeah, apparently. But it makes sense in my mind that we are selective with the people that we allow in.
That's we're gonna start jumping in what we think about it.
Yeah. Well, one last thing I want to say beforehand.
Okay.
So what Trump kind of touted out is that this helps the American worker, but it's kind of weird to suggest that you want to bring in people into the labor market, but then the reason you're doing it is to help the American worker. Because if you're bringing in more skilled people into the labor market, it's not exactly. Yeah. So one thing, I think it's good to bring in skilled workers, because I don't think that it hurts the American labor market. I don't have any problem with the most skilled worker getting the job, whether they're an immigrant or not. If they come in here legally, they get the job. I'm fine with that. I think that's how free trade capitalism works. But I think that was just a weird point. Yeah. Kind of how he panders to that whole audience. I think it's kind of disingenuous.
Well, if you don't think about it, it's like, oh, it's going to help
exactly.
me. Okay.
Yeah. But I just want to throw that out there, kind of a little pet peeve. But yeah, let's jump into what we think of it now.
Right. So, I mean, it's important to also realize this isn't law now. I mean, this is just a policy brought forth. I mean, it needs to be discussed now.
Also, it needs 60 votes to pass. This will not pass, by the way.
Gonna pass.
So the idea of it being
this video is useless.
No, yeah. Just gotta throw that out
but it's good to talk about it, though.
Yeah, no, because I think it does a lot of good things.
Right, and people were freaking out, obviously, saying, well, he hates Muslims and now he hates all immigrants. It's like,
Yeah.
As America, as a country, it's our right to control our border. I don't understand how that's lost on people personally. Yeah. It's like, you have a right to secure your home. Why wouldn't you secure your borders? It doesn't make any sense to me. And then, yes, who would you want coming in? So say you had a business. Who would you want coming in? You would want people qualified or people that could do something productive to your business or society. So I don't understand. Yes, we have a right to do our borders. Yeah. And to me personally, a merit-based system seems to make sense. Yeah. Show us that you're going to be useful to us. Like, why should we just let you in? Yeah. You know, and that's kind of a jerk move, but at the same time, it's like, we have to protect ourselves, and it's our choice. Yeah. And if we say this is how it is, it's how it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's that whole argument of like blind empathy, right? Like, oh, it's a jerk move to not let these people in, but then
we should have no borders.
Exactly, we should have no borders. But then everyone comes in. You have more people on welfare. Then you're taxing the hardworking American person who's working more, right. So you're taking more money out of their paycheck, and it's not looking at the bigger picture of things. Right, drives me crazy. But yeah, no, I think it makes perfect sense for it to be more of a merit-based system where you have an education. You know, you have a certain skill that you can apply to the job. Maybe you speak the language. Maybe that helps out.
That would be useful.
Like I said, I don't think that should be mandatory, right? I don't think there should be a law there, but I'm not against it being an incentive for the person to be allowed in. Yeah. Like if there's someone who's, really, really good at coding or doing whatever it is, I don't think that they should have to speak English to get in the country. But I think it should definitely help them, right? Because it's going to help them in the long run, as well as the business that they're communicating with. Because the majority of time, if you're in America, you're going to be speaking English, right? Yes. So that just makes sense to me.
Yeah. And to like you said, bonus point to being English, I think that makes total sense. And there's something to be said to the level of trying to adapt to the culture you're coming into.
Exactly. To assimilate into the culture.
Yeah, and so to offer something of value to the culture and say, hey, I have no English. I think you should be prioritized. Why wouldn't we prioritize you? Yeah. You're willing to speak our language. You have something of value to us in some way. So you have him, or you have someone that's like, well, no, my sister's here, and I should just be able to come in because, you guys are America, and you mean, no, like, we should take the guy that would be more productive for society because it is a society, and like you said, we don't need more of a drain on our resources, our medical, our Medicaid, and stuff. Like, we don't need more of a drain on that kind of stuff. Absolutely. It's already siphoning our budget.
And poor people tend to bring along more violence with it too. So not only, you're bringing in more, and there's Americans who do this obviously too, but you don't want to bring more people in on the lower totem pole, right? You want to bring people in who are higher up on the totem pole, who might not be getting welfare, who might not be getting as violent. And like you said, I think knowing the language is important, right? Because it shows that you can understand the American ideals, you can understand the Constitution, you can understand the rights you have, you can understand the American experience, what it's founded on, and I think that's important, right? I mean,
it's like a respect thing.
Yeah, absolutely. The instant the people no longer have any kind of respect or reverence for the American experiment, it goes away, right? Yep. And I think that would obviously be a tragedy. But one thing, so there's the point system that's getting attacked, right? Because it's discrimination against certain immigrants, right? That they claim, and then also
they claim like that,
right?
And then discrimination,
yeah. And then also it's the fact that it cuts down on the amount of people overall who can come in to the country.
We already let in so many.
We let in a lot of people. And kind of if you look at this graph here, you can see how it's generally projecting upwards, right? It's an upward trend, but there's obviously a lot of volatility in the graph. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down.
For the amount of immigrants that we have let in
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And if you look at it, from 1944 to the 80s, the average is like 250,000. But then if you look at it from the late 80s to like 2015, it's like over 1 million. Right. So it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for it to drop like this bill proposes to even 50% would be dropping to about 600,000. And then, in 10 years from now or 15 years from now, jumping back up to 1 million or 1.2 or 1.5, it's not out of the ordinary for that number to fluctuate.
Right. It makes no sense to me that it has to be a certain number. There needs to be a threshold. Like, it needs to be whatever's right for that time period. And
exactly.
Like, right now, we're in a stage, I think, of like reconstruction. We're trying to get our crap together. We're trying to get our debt down and everything. And
yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's not the best time to be letting in a bunch of people that aren't American. We can barely handle Americans, man. I mean, yeah, I don't have any problem with this. And I guess it is kind of weird that we're both already on the inside, so we're not trying to get in. But even if I don't even think I just think it makes sense for like a country, even if it's not America, it just makes sense for a country to say, listen, we want you to show that you're worth it for us.
Absolutely. Well, and here's the thing, other countries do this. Canada has an immigration system that's similar to this. The UK does too. Certain countries, I'm not sure about Germany, doesn't really have something like that, or Sweden, but it's not a foreign idea.
No, this isn't the first time you've ever heard this.
merit-based systems for you to be allowed in the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think it's definitely an interesting bill, and I don't really understand all the outrage of it because one.
Oh, I do. It's because Trump endorsed it.
Because Trump, exactly. But like we said earlier, it's probably not going to pass because it needs 60 votes to pass.
No.
And then also it makes logical sense to me. If you just kind of take a step back, if you get out of the whole, you know, your echo chamber where you're super offended by everything, if you just take a step back and look at it for what the bill actually is, it doesn't seem to be that discriminatory, that offensive to me in any way. It makes a good bit of sense.
It's very logical, which is another reason why it will not pass.
That is well said.
Makes perfect sense, and so it's like, nah, we're not gonna do that.
That brings us to a depressing end of our video.
Yeah, but I do like. I mean, I wish that instead of just criticizing it, people would like. I'd like to hear an argument of why they think that this is a bad idea. Like, I haven't really heard what I feel like is a solid argument for this to be bad.
If you can bring me a cohesive argument where allowing people in that will jump on the
without a
welfare,
basis.
yeah, exactly. If you can tell me how allowing immigrants in who are going to instantly jump on welfare and not produce anything into the economy, if you can tell me how that's good for the American people, then best of luck to you. And if it's really good, then sure, I'll endorse it.
Yeah.
But like you said, I would much rather them just attack and propose ideas of, oh, this is bad because of this, as opposed to just attacking the morality of it, right? This is discriminatory.
Or Trump again,
this is bigoted. Like, once you start attacking the morality of the person as opposed to the ideas,
you don't have to attack the policy then.
That's a lot harder to attack the policy than the person, right? We figured this out
because you have to actually understand what the heck it's talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. But all right, guys, be sure and let us know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think this bill is good? Do you think it's bad? If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe to our channel. That really helps us out. If you didn't like it, give us a dislike. Tell us what we did wrong. Anyways, guys, we will see you guys next time. And as always, stay informed.